Okay. We are on Daf Lamed Vav, Amud Aleph, top line. Good Erev Shabbos. Bayure, come and see, says the Gemara. Kama nisim nasu ba'esei hayom. Come and see how many nisim happened on that very same day. Over Yisrael's Hayarden, Yidden crossed the Yarden, which was a miracle in its own, as we discussed yesterday. And they came to the mountains of Grizim and Evel, Yeser Meshishim Mil, which was more than 60 kilometers away from the Yarden. And no one was able to stand up to them. Anyone who tried to stand up to them, miyad nitraz, was immediately gripped with diarrhea. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, my awe I will send before you, and I will confuse the whole nation that you will come in their midst. And it says in the pasuk, fear, awe and a fear will grip them until your nation Hashem will pass. Zubi Arishena. So the first part of the pasuk, which says that Yaver Amcha Hashem, refers to the first entering into Eretz Yisrael the first time. Ad Yaver Amzu Kanisa, and then when it says Ad Yaver Amzu Kanisa, Zubi Ashniya, that refers to the second entry into Eretz Yisrael with Ezra at the time of the building of the second Beis Hamikdash. And Mer Meyata. So from here you could imply that the Ruyin HaYisrael Las Yisrael Nes Nabi Ashniya could be Arishena. That initially the Yidden were deserving that miracles should happen to them the second time when they come to Eretz Yisrael, as they did the first time. The reason that it didn't actually materialize that way was because their sins caused that things did not work out that way. Then we're back to the miracles that happened. And then they brought the stones, they built the Mizbech, they covered it in plaster. And they wrote all the words of the Torah, B'shivim Lashon, in 70 languages. Never Bayit Hativ, as it says, explained well, which means in all 70 languages. Which is quite a feat to write the whole Torah in 70 languages, all in the same day. Ubarchu, and they skipped it, sorry. And the Helu Eilos Ushlamim, they brought burnt offerings and peace offerings, V'achlu, V'shasu, and they ate, they drank, V'samchu, and they rejoiced, the Barchu, and they recited the brachas, Baruch Ish, that we mentioned earlier, V'kilulu, and they recited the Klolus, Arur Ha'ish, Hashiyasa Peslo Maseicha, V'kiplu Asa'avanim, and then they peeled the cement off the stones, Ubo V'lanu B'Gilgal, and they came and they spent the night in Gilgal. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, V'havartem Oisam Imachem, you should take them across with you, V'inachtem Oisam B'Molin, and you should place them in the place where you spend the night. Yachol B'chol Molin B'Molin. I might have thought that they have an obligation to bring the stones with them to every place where they spend the night. The place where you're going to spend the night tonight. So it's only the first place where you spend the night. And it says in the pasuk, these 12 stones which they took, I guess it means they placed them in Gilgal. Tana, we learned in Abraisa, the tzira, the wasp that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu that he's going to send a wasp ahead of the Yidden to sting the Knainim and to that way eliminate them, did not cross the Yarden with the Yidden. That's not the case. Doesn't it say in the pasuk, I'm going to send the wasp ahead of you. So if it says I'm going to send them ahead of you, it means they crossed the Yarden with the Yidden, or ahead of the Yidden. Amar Shimon ben Lakish said, Al Sfas HaYarden Amda, Tzira remained on the east bank of the Jordan, and it sprayed them with poison. It blinded them from above. And it castrated them from below. As it says, I've gotten rid of the Amori from before them, who were tall like cedar trees, and strong like an aloin tree, and I destroyed their fruits from above, and their roots from below. So I guess Ashmet Piriam Imal refers to them being blinded from above. Shanash of Mitachas is them being castrated from below. Papa Amar Papa said there were two wasps. Chada the Moshe, Chada the Yeshua. One that was associated with Moshe, and one that was associated with Yeshua. The Moshe the wasp that belonged to Moshe did not cross the Yarden. The Yeshua Avar, the one that belonged to Yeshua, did cross the Yarden. Shisha Shvatim Alu Lareish Har Grizim. Then it said that 6 Shvatim went to the top of Har Grizim. Fragt die Gemara, Mai v'hachetzi. It says, and the half. So what's the half, the known half? Amar Rav Kana said, K'derech shechalukim kan, kach chalukim b'avnei ephod. The same way that they're divided over here by the brachas and klolos, that's the way they're divided in the stones of the ephod. As we know, that the Kohen Gadol were on the ephod, there were 2 stones on the 2 shoulders. And each one had the names of 6 shvatim. So the same way that the shvatim were divided for the brachas and klolos on Har Grizim and Har Evel, that's the way they're divided on the 2 stones of the ephod. Fragt Gemara Meisvei, I'll ask you a kasha from a brayse. How can Rav Kana say that they're divided here the same way they're divided by the Avnei Ephod? Learned in a brayse, Shtei Avanim Tevis Hoyle Kohen Gadol Aksefov. Kohen Gadol wore 2 diamonds on his shoulders. Achas mikan v'achas mikan. One on the right shoulder, one on the left shoulder. Shmei Shnei Maser Shvatim Kosav Aleim. And the names of the 12 tribes, the 12 Shvatim, were written on them. Shisha 11 Zu, V'Shisha 11 Zu. 6 on one stone and 6 on the other stone. Shenamar, as it says in the pasuk, Shisha Meshmeisim Allah Evan Ha'achas V'Geimer. 6 of their names were written on one stone, and then the pasuk continues that 6 were written on the other stone, Kitel Daisam, in the way they were born. Says the Braisa, Shnia Kitel Daisam, the lady Shena Kitel Daisam. Only the second one is in accordance with the way they were born. But the first one is not in accordance with the way they were born. Nesh Yehuda Muktam. Because Yehuda is put ahead of the other Shvatim. So Yehuda was born 4th. And the way the order in which the Shvatim were written on the stones was Yehuda and then Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Machamishim Eisi is Hayu. And there were 50 letters altogether. Esrim B'chamesh al Even Zu. Esrim B'chamesh al Even Zu. 25 on one stone and 25 on the other stone. Reb Chanina ben Gamliel disagrees, and he says, like Kederech Shechalukim, like Kederech Shechalukim b'Chemesh HaPkudim, Chalukim b'Avnei Ephod. That the Shvatim are not divided by the stones of the Ephod the way they're divided in Chumash Bamidbar when they were counted. But rather the way they are set up in the beginning of Chumash Shmos. Beginning of Chumash Shmos, it says, Ve'elu Shmos b'nei Yisrael, Bo Mitzrayim, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. So the way that they're set up in Chumash Shmos, that's the way they were divided in the Avnei Ephod. Keitzad, how is that organized? B'nei Leah Kesidron, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun in the order that they were born. B'nei Rachel, Echad Mikan, Ve'echad Mikan. Yosef and Binyamin, one is on one stone and one is on one side and one is on the other. Ubnei Shvachos be'emtza. One is at one extreme, one is on the other extreme, and the sons of the Shvachos in the middle. Just get a Chumash Shmos so we can see this clearly. Beginning of Chumash Shmos, it says, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, Binyamin, Dan Naphtali, Gad, Asher. And then it says, Yosef Hayav Mitzrayim. So the surrounding the Bnei Hashvachos, you have Binyamin before them and Yosef after them.
So that's suggesting that Leah was all on one stone and the rest were on the other stone?
That's what it seems. Elamani Mekayim Ketel Daisam. So then what does Ketel Daisam mean? They're not in the order that they were born. Right? If Yisachar and Zvulun are before the Bnei Hashvachos, and if Binyamin is before the Bnei Hashvachos, and Yosef is after the Bnei Hashvachos, and Binyamin is before Yosef, then surely they're not in the order of the way they were born. So how do we understand the word Ketel Daisam that the Torah explicitly says by the Ephod that they have to be on the Avnei Ephod, have to be Ketel Daisam? So the Gemara says, Kishmeisam Shekar Lam Aviyim, but like Kishemis Shekar Lam Moshe. That Ketel Daisam means their names were written the way their father called them, and not the way Moshe referred to them in Chumash Bamidbar. Which means Reuven v'lei Reuveni, Shimon v'lei Shimoni, Dan v'lei Hadani, Gad v'lei Hagadi. So we brought this brisa to bring a kasha on Rav Kana. Rav Kana said that they're divided over here, the way they're divided by the brachas of klolos, the same way they're divided by the avnei ephod. And the two opinions in the brisa, neither of the opinions in the brisa seem to follow this approach of Rav Kana. Says the Gemara, tiyufta Rav Kana tiyufta. So Rav Kana is refuted. So we're back to the question. Sorry? Did somebody want to ask something?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask, what was the Seder by Har Eival and Har Grizim? How were the Shvatim divided?
I think in Yeshua, in Sefer Yeshua, it tells you how the Shvatim were divided.
Okay.
We have a pasuk. One second. In Parshas Kisavai, good question you're asking. Parshas Kisavai, it doesn't say which. Does it say in Parshas Kisavai which Shvatim should be where?
Ele Yamdu, yes, it does. Ele Yamdu, Ve'ele Yamdu, yeah, and I think it's
over here, yes.
those are the ones that Yosef brought to Parai.
Shimon v'Levi Yehuda Yisachar v'Yosef v'Binyamin. Ve'elu Yamdu la'klala b'Har'ebel Reuven Gad v'Asher Zvulun Dan v'Naftali. So Rav Kana is saying that the same way they're divided by Har Grizim and Har Eival, that's the way they're divided on the Avnei Ephod. But we have a brisa which is from Tanoim, which is much more reliable than Rav Kana doesn't have the right to argue on a brisa, which tells us that there's various opinions how they were divided, and none of these opinions are the derech shechalukin b'Har Grizim and Har Eival. Therefore, the Gemara said, "Tiyufta Rav Kana tiyufta." So Rav Kana's position is refuted. So the question is, if that's the case, then what's the pshat and the half? The way Rav Kana explained it is the same half that you had by the Avnei Ephod. But if it's not the same half as by Avnei Ephod, so what's the v'hachetzye? Tana, we learned in a brisa, chetzye shamul har grizim meruba mechetzye shel har eival. That the half which was opposite har grizim was larger than the half which was by Har Eival, and that's why it's called V'Hachetzia. Why was that the case? Levi Lamata, because Levi, the Leviim were in the middle. So the Leviim are mentioned in the half of Har Grizim, but they also had to be in the middle to recite the brachas and the klolos. So therefore, the half that was on Har Grizim was larger than the half that was on Har Eival. If Levi is one that's supposed to be on the top of the mountain by Har Grizim, or supposed to be by Har Grizim, and then they turned out to be in the middle, so then you're missing numbers. You're not adding numbers. So why should there be more by Har Grizim than by Har Eival? Because Levi is Lamata. Even though Levi was Lamata, and therefore missing numbers, but since Yosef was with the group that was by Har Grizim, so it made up for the numbers that were missing by Levi, well over. As it says, by Dabru ben Yosef, Yeshua Leimer, the children of Yosef said to Yeshua, Madua nasatali nachlo, Geidel echad, Bechevel echad, why did you give me only one section in Eretz Yisrael? Vani amrav, I am very highly populated. Yemer aleim Yeshua, so Yeshua said to them, Im amrav, if you're so highly populated, alei lecha ya'ara, so go to the forest. What does that mean, go to the forest? Amar lehem, he said to them, L'chu behivo, bechavu atzbechem b'yarim, go and hide yourself in the forests. That an ayin hara shouldn't affect you. Amrulay, they said to him, Zari di Yosef le'shalta be'ein abisha. The seed of Yosef is not affected by an ayin hara. It says in the pasuk, Ben Peiris Yosef, Ben Peiris alei oyin. What does alei oyin mean? Amar ababo al tikere alei oyin el oilei oyin. They rise above the eye. They rise above an ayin hara. So we have nothing to worry about an ayin hara. Yosef ben Chanina Amar Mehachar. Yosef ben Chanina says the fact that Shevet Yosef is not affected by an ayin hara, we learn from the following pasuk. It says, "V'yidgu l'reiv b'kerev haaretz." They will multiply like fish in the midst of the earth. What does it mean to multiply like fish? Ma'adogim shebayam ma'im chasam aleim, just like the fish in the sea are covered by the water. Ve'ina ayin shelat b'em, and therefore the eye doesn't rule over them. There's ayin hara can't affect them because they can't be seen. Avzar shel Yosef ve'ina ayin shelat b'em. So the seed of Yosef is not affected by the eye, and ayin hara cannot do them any damage. So therefore, since Yosef was with the Shvatim that are on Har Grizim, Therefore, it's v'hachetziyoi. It's a larger half than the half that is on Har Grizim, even though they were missing many numbers from Shevet Levi, because Levim had to stand between the two mountains. Nevertheless, you had significantly more population on Har Grizim. Frekti Gemara. Hani Chamishim Asias, we mentioned earlier that there's 50 Asias on the Avnei Ephod, 25 on each. But if you count them, you'll see Chamishim Nechichadahav, and you'll only count to 49. So how do they get 50 letters if there's only 49 letters in the names of the Shvatim? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, so Rabbi Yitzchak said, Yosef Esifu Eis Achas. That Yosef got an extra letter in his name. Shanemar, it says in Tilim, Edus B'Yosef Samay B'Tzeisei Al Eretz Mitzrayim. So we see that Yosef can also be spelled Yehosef. And that's where they got the 50th letter. Maskev Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, so Rav Nachman by Yitzchak asked Akasha on this. Gittel Deisam being, and it needs to be written the way they were born. And by when he was born, he wasn't called Yehosef, he was called Yosef. Elo, but rather the answer to where the 50th letter comes from is actually a different answer. Kol HaTorah Kula Binyamin. In the whole Torah, whatever the Torah mentions, Binyamin, it's spelled Beis, Nun, Yud, Mem, and the Nun, which is a total of 5 letters. Hacha Binyamin Shalem. And over here, it says Binyamin. Over here on the Avnei Ephod, it was written with a Yud at the end, Mem, Yud, Nun, Beis, Nun, Yud, Mem, Yud, Nun, complete, Kedechsiv, as it says when he was born, the Aviv Karole Binyamin. His father called him Binyamin Mem Yud Nun. So therefore, since it's Ketel Daisam, Binyamin is spelled over here in the Avnei Ephod differently than it is B'chol HaTorah Kula. And that's how you make up the 50th letter. Amar Rav Chana bar Bizna, Amar Rav Shimon Chasida. Rav Chana bar Bizna said in the name of Rav Shimon Chasida, Yosef Shekiddush Shem Shemayim Baseiser, Hesifu Olav Eis Achas Mishmeish LaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yosef, who was Mekadosh, the Eibush, sanctified the Eibush's name in privacy. In other words, he had the Nisayon of Eshes Peitifar, and he made the right decision and to honor Hashem's name. So he was rewarded that one letter was added to his name from the name of Hashem. So instead of being called Yosef, he was called Yehosef. Yehuda Shekid Hashem Shemayim B'far Hesya, Yehuda who sanctified Hashem's name in public. Nikra Kulei Al Shmei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. His entire name is called the Eibush's name. So in Yehuda you have the entire Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yosef Mahi. What's the story of Yosef being Mekadosh Shem Shamayim? It says in the pasuk, "Vahi Kayem Azeh," was that day by Yaveh Habai Salasis Malachtoi, and Yosef came to the house of Peitifar to do his work. Rav Shmuel, so the Machlekes Rav Shmuel, what does it mean? Lasis Malachtoi. Chad Omer Lasis Malachtoi Mamish. One says that he came to do his work, the usual work that he would do in the house every day. That's what he came for. Chad Omer Lasis Tzrachav Nichnas. And one says that he came with the intention of succumbing to the seductions of Eshes Peitifar. Vein Ish Be'anshe Abayis V'Gamer. Pasuk says there was nobody there from the members of the house. Frek the Gemara, Efshar Bayis Gadol Kebesi Shulesi Rasha. Lehoya Bayish. Is it possible that in a palace like the house of Peitifar, who was a minister in Pari's government, there shouldn't be anybody there? Tanat Ve'Rabbi Shmuel. So the Talmud of Rabbi Shmuel learned in the Braisa, Eisi Hayem Yem Chagam Haya. That day was a religious holiday. So all went to the house of their Avodah Zarah. He Amra Lahem Chayla. She claimed to be ill. Amra, she said, I don't have a better day in which to successfully seduce Yosef than this day. So it says in the pasuk, she grabbed him by his garment and she asked him to be with her. So at that moment, the image of his father came along with and appeared through the window. Amrle said to him, Yosef, your brothers' names are all going to be written on the stones of the ephod. And you're intended to be with them. Do you want your name to be removed from amongst their names on the Avnei Ephod? And you'll be called one who shepherds Zainis. And Reya Zainis will lose great wealth. He'll lose this great privilege of having his name written on the Avnei Ephod. So immediately he made an about face and everything changed. What does Vateshev Be'es and Kashtei mean? Rabbi Yechanan said in the name of the Meir, Sheshava Kashtei Le'Sanei. So everything came back to normal, which means that his erection was dissolved. Vayafezus Reya Yadav. What does Vayafezus Reya Yadav tell us? Noatz Yadav Bekarka. He stuck his fingers into the earth. Yatsa Shichvazera Mibein Tziparnav, and the Shichvazera came out from his nails. It's Parna Yadav from the nails of his fingers. Videi Avir Yaakov, the pasuk continues from the hands of Avir Yaakov. Mi garam leishi chakak al avnei ephod el Avir Yaakov, who caused him that his name should remain engraved on the stones of the ephod. It's because of Yaakov, because of the image of Yaakov that appeared in the window and told him and set him straight. Misham Raya Evan Yisrael. From here, shepherds the stone of Yisrael. Misham Zocha v'Nasa Raya. From here, he was merited to become a shepherd. Nemar, as it says in the pasuk, Raya Yisrael Hazina, shepherd of Israel. Listen, Nehek Atzayin Yosef, who leads the sheep, leads like sheep. Yosef leads like sheep. So, as a result of this, he was zeicha to become a shepherd, a leader of Yidden. Tanya we learned in the Braisa. Really, Yosef should have had 12 sons, just like Yaakov did, 12 shvatim. Shenamar Elo tell this Yaakov Yosef. It says this is the toldus of Yaakov Yosef. So everything that happened to Yaakov happened to Yosef. So what happened? Yaakov had 12 sons. Why did Yosef only have 2 sons? The story that we just told, when the Shechvazera came out of his fingernails, he had 10 fingernails. So that's why that was instead of the 10 children that he should have had. And the other 2 are Ephraim and Menashe. Afal became, and nevertheless, Yatzum and Binyamin Achiv, all these 10 were born to Binyamin. Kula Nikru al Shmei, and they were all named for Yosef. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Bnei Binyamin, Bela v'Avecher v'Ashbel v'Gemer, and if you count them, you'll see that Binyamin had 10 sons. Bela, he's called Bela, Shanivla Beina Umes, because Yosef was swallowed up amongst the nations. Becher, he's called Becher because Becher le'imay haya, he was the firstborn of his son. This is all taken from the story when Binyamin was called, was brought before Yosef. Yosef asked him, "Do you have any brothers?" And Binyamin said, "I had 1 brother from my mother." And he said, "Do you have any sons?" He said, "I have 10 sons." So he asked him, "And what are their names?" So he said, "They're all named after my brother." And he explained to Yosef each name, how they're named after his brother. So Bela, it says, Shenivla Bein Umas, because he was swallowed up amongst the nations. Becher, because he was the firstborn of his mother. The Ashbel, it's called Ashbel, Sheshavei Kel, because God took him into captivity. Geira, Shegar Bachsanias, he lived in inns, to wander. The Naman, Shenoim B'Yeser, it was very pleasant. Echi Varesh means Achihu Vareshu is my brother and my head. Mupim B'chupim, Hulayra B'chupasi, he didn't see my wedding. Vanila Nisi B'chupasai, and I didn't see his wedding. Va'ard, Sheyarad L'bein Umay Sa'ilam, that he descended amongst the nations of the world. Ikadamni Va'ard, Shapanav Beiman Levedet. Another Taisha Va'ard is that his face was beautiful like a rose. Amr Abchia Barabba, Amr Rabbi Yechanan. Abchia Barabba said the name of Rabbi Yechanan. Shah Amr Le'Pari Le'Yesef. When Pari said to Yosef that without your permission, nobody will lift a hand in all of Egypt. So the stargazers of Pari asked him, a slave that his master bought him for 20 pieces of silver, you're going to make him rule over us? Amar Lahem, he said to his stargazers, I see colors of kingship in him. Amrulai, so the stargazer said to Paro, if that's the case, that he's worthy of becoming of ruling, so he should know all 70 languages, because that's the rule of Mitzrayim, and whoever rules has to know all 70 languages. Well, Gabriel, so Gabriel came along quickly and taught him the 70 languages. And Yosef wasn't picking it up. Gabriel was teaching the 70 languages, and Yosef wasn't absorbing it. So Gabriel added an extra letter from Hashem's name to Yosef, and with that he was able to absorb the lessons of Gabriel in the 70 languages. As it says, so this extra letter, the hey, that was added to his name, was for the purpose of and the pasuk says further, and as a result of that extra letter that was added to his name, he was able to absorb the languages that until now he didn't know. So the next day, when Yosef was called before Pari, any language that Pari spoke to him in, he was able to answer him in that language. So Yosef spoke to Pari in Lashon Kodesh. Pari did not know what he was talking about. So Pari said to Yosef, it's a status symbol. To know languages in Mitzrayim is very respected. So if Pari only knows 70 languages, and Yosef knows 71 languages, so it's questionable who's supposed to be the king over here. Amar Lei, so Pari said to him, Agmari, quickly teach me this language that you know and I don't know. Agmari v'lei Gomar. So Yosef tried to give Pari a quick lesson in Lashon Kodesh, and Pari couldn't pick it up, he couldn't absorb it. Amar Lei, so Pari got worried. So he said to Yosef, Ishtabali delei maglis. I want you to swear to me that you're never going to reveal to anybody that you speak more languages than I do. And you speak Lashon Kodesh, which I don't. Ishtabali. So he swore to him. Amar Lei, when Yaakov Avinu died, then Yosef came before Pari. And he said, my father gave me an oath that I should bury him in his grave in Eretz Yisrael. And therefore I need your permission to be able to go and do that. When Yosef said to Pari, my father gave me an oath to say that I should bury him in his grave that he prepared for himself in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Lei, so Pari said, so what's the problem? Zil ishto l'shvuah. There's a halacha of shvuah, and you can be mater a shvuah, right? You can go to a bezdin and get the bezdin to undo your shvuah. So you have a problem that you gave your father your word, you gave him an oath, go set up a bezdin and be mater neder, be mater shvuah. Amar Lei, so Yosef said to Pari, I'll do that with pleasure, but one condition, Ishtul Nami Adidach. But while I'm being mater shvuah on the oath that I gave my father that I'll bury him in Eretz Yisrael, I'm also going to undo the oath that I gave you that I'm not going to reveal to anybody that I speak more languages than you do. So although Pari wasn't so happy with the idea of Yosef leaving to go bury his father, nevertheless he had no choice and he had to concede and say, go and bury your father as he gave you the oath to do. In other words, if it wouldn't have been for the oath, I wouldn't agree to you going. But I have no choice because you gave an oath, and the only way that I can get you to keep the oath that you gave to me is if I allow you to keep the oath that you gave to your father.
I think Rashi in Chumash says that's one of the reasons why Yaakov made Yosef swear.
Okay, interesting.
I could be wrong.
Yehuda might. What's the story with Yehuda? We said that Yehuda was Mekadosh Shem Shamayim. It was Mekadosh Shem Shamayim b'Farhesia. The Tanya we learned in the Brayso. Rameir would say, when the Yidden were standing by the Yamsuf, the Shvatim were challenging each other. Each Shevet wanted to be the first one to jump into the Yamsuf. So the Shevet Binyamin took the plunge, literally, and they went into the Yam first. Shanamar, as it says in the pasuk, Sham Binyamin Tzoir Reidem. So there, Binyamin, the youngest, was Reidem. What does Reidem mean? I'll take Reidem el Red Yam. Don't read the word Reidem, but Red Yam went down into the sea.
Sham Binyamin Tzoir Reidem Sar Yehuda. No, it says after Reidem.
Sham Binyamin Tzoir Reidem. I'll take Reidem el Red Yam.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, so the leaders of Yehuda were stoning them. Right? They didn't want them to go be the first ones that goes into the Yam. Shnemer started Yehuda rigmasam from Lashon Regim. So Binyamin ended up being the first one to go into the Yam. That's why Binyamin HaTzadik merited to become the host of the Shechina. When the Beis Hamikdash was built, the Beis Hamikdash was built in Binyamin's territory. Shenemar, as it says, U'bein Seif of Shachin, that between his shoulders the Shechina dwells, which is a reference to Beis Hamikdash being built on the territory of Binyamin. Amar Loi, Rabbi Yehuda said to him, that's not the way it happened. So this, the first opinion was the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says to the Meir, that's not the way it happened. Each Shevet did not want to be the first one to go into the Yam. So this Shevet was saying, I'm not going first. The other Shevet said, I'm not going first. So Nachshon ben Aminadav took the plunge and jumped into the Yam first. So Nachshon ben Aminadav was from Shevet Yehuda, the Nasi of Shevet Yehuda, he's the one that jumped into the Yam first. All of Mefurish b'Kabbalah, but him it says in Tilim, Help me, Hashem. The water has come up to my soul, meaning to my nostrils. I'm sinking in thick mud. I can't hold up. Don't let the water flood me and don't make me swallowed in the depths. At that moment, Moshe was lengthily davening. So the Eibishter said to Moshe Rabbeinu, my dear ones are drowning in the sea, and you're davening long now. So Moshe said, what do you want me to do? He said to him, speak to the children of Bnei Yisrael and let them journey. Lift up your stick, stretch out your hand, and the Yamsuf will split. So because Yehuda, Shevet Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminadav was the first one to dive into the sea, that's why Yehuda merited to become the ruler of Yidden. Shenemar, as it says in Malchus Beis David, from Shevet Yehuda. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Haisa Yehuda l'kadsha Yisrael mam shaloisav. Yehuda became his holy one, and Yisrael became his kingship. Why did Yehuda become the holy one and the ruler of the Yidden? Because of their role by Kriyas Yamsuf. So therefore, the pasuk puts the Yehuda the pasuk in Halal just before the pasuk Hayam Rav Hayones, which describes Kriyas Yamsuf. It talks about Haisa Yehuda l'kadsha Yisrael mam shaloisav, the role that Yehuda played by Kriyas Yamsuf, and that's what Yehuda was Mekadesh Shemayim B'Farhesya by Nachshon ben Aminadav jumping in to the Yamsuf. And that concludes our share for today. We have a little bit less to do over Shabbos. And Mir Hashem on Sunday, we will start from the Mishnah on Lamed Zayin Amud Beis on the bottom, Birchas Kayanim Keitzad. Actually fascinating. The Gemara that we're going to start learning in Mir Hashem on Sunday is all the halachas of Duchening. If you block all the halachas of Duchening. So if you know anybody who wants to join the shir and learn a little bit about the halachas of Duchening, fascinating. Encourage them to join the shir from Sunday and get an eye opener.
Yeah.
We have Rabbi Ruddle, is our Kayan, our in-house Kayan, is going to make sure that we get it all right.
Whoever wants to join must raise their hand.
Yeah.
Fault of Shabbos.
It's Shabbos.
I was wondering if any of you, Rabbi Gordon, do you know whether halachically is there an inyan to learn the whole parsha tomorrow? Not mitzad shnaim v'ikam v'chatagum. Just since we don't have a minyan, is there an inyan to read the whole parsha?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I heard that Rabbi Brian said that one should, but I'm not sure exactly where it comes from.
Shabbos. Rabbi Brian said it about Yom Tov or about Shabbos?
Shabbos and the weekday. Probably doesn't have a halacha, but maybe there's a pasuk that says.
I knew that he said it about Yom Tov, and I thought it had something to do with Moshe Rabbeinu with Sakan Yisrael to put in Parshas Hamayadis. But
Okay.
Isn't there also takana sheyukerim b'chol Shabbosos?
Dafka this kriya. I'll give you an answer. If you haven't been ma'aver the seder yet, before davening tomorrow, then we can shachris and musaf, sit down with your children and be ma'aver the seder together. But if you were ma'aver the seder already before, it's called Ashlam Parsha Yosef and Matzibur already.
No, I do it. I start from the beginning of the week. So when I do chitas, I do twice the pasuk and unkelus. So it's because to do Shnai Mikra V'Chatagim B'Har B'Chukos, I would be an hour and a half.
Zaynish mefarsim.
Okay.
A lot of people do it like that.
Wonderful Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Can I say a question? We were speaking about Shavua, and it just reminded me of something like in Tanya, like Perek of Tanya, like, and you heard it said so Perek Gimel the Nida. It's like a metaphor for like the end of Galus, and there's 3 Golasos.
But it never brings in from Hillel Padacher.
Because I told this to somebody, and they said, where are the 3 Golasos? Like what? Like, is it
No,
different
it
ways?
doesn't say about the Golusin. It says that there's Tanya B'Seif Pera Gimel the Nida. So
Okay.
Nida is Golus, as it says in Eicha Chet Chati Ein L'Nida Hayasa. The leg of a behemoth has 3 prakim. In Chulin, the Gemara Chulin talks about Shleisha prakim beregel. The leg of a behemoth has 3 parts to it. There's 3 parts to the ankles, that the way it works, the way the joints are. So there's 3 parts, and Perek Gimel means the last part. So Tanya B'Seif Perek Gimel the Nida, that when was the Tanya revealed? At the end of the last part of Golus. That's if I remember correctly what Rabbi Hillel Pareksha says. He didn't say 3 Golusin. He says that the Golus has various parts, and the last part is the Perek, just like the leg has 3 parts. So the third part is the last part. So Perek Gimel the Nida means the last part of Golus.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can double check it, but this is what I think. Have
Thank
a
you.
fantastic Shabbos.
Me too.
Kol ha-mevorach mizbarach.
Amen.
Amen.